The MCU has ruled the movie theaters and our wallets for the past 10 years. Whatever movie they put out, good or bad, has been met with positive returns at the box office since 2008, until after COVID. You see, Marvel made a big mistake. Instead of focusing on the characters that were being built up pre-Endgame and then slowly adding new characters into the mix while creating a new story that connects these projects into one big epic Avengers finale, they greenlit too many damn projects. A simple Google search will tell us where Marvel went wrong. For example, let's see the year 2021. Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Peak, WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and Hawkeye all released in 1 year with around 1 month's time in between each project. I know this is also due to COVID, but this is such a messy schedule that I think could have been handled much better. We've been hearing the phrase that keeping up with all this feels like homework, and that is the worst thing you want someone to say about your franchise. And due to all the media that the audience had to consume, it diluted the brand and made people not interested to go see the new MCU movie. It also doesn't help that the stuff that was being released wasn't that good either. Using Kang as their next big bad clearly wasn't gonna work, both critically and commercially. And it also doesn't help that the guy playing him is the worst. Marvel had to shift into something both themselves and the audience was familiar with. That's why they did this. You see, I follow everything that happens at a Marvel panel. So when this hit, it was truly insane. I've seen the opinions on this casting for a full year now, and I gotta say, I see the vision. Alright, think about it. Marvel doesn't have the big main players established to kick off these next Avengers movies. We have one Sam Captain America movie that no one liked, one Captain Marvel movie that no one watched, and Loki? I mean, Spider-Man is also definitely going to be in there somewhere because everyone knows you put Spider-Man in a movie and it's instantly going to make you $1 billion. But bringing back the main lead of your franchise of 11 years to play the biggest villain in the universe when all your chips are down is actually really interesting. Since Doom isn't someone they've built up at all over these past 4 years, this is a way for the audience to instantly be connected to what Marvel's doing. Now, recently I've gotten really into comic books, specifically comics about Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. On the Doctor Doom side, I think my favorite Doom story is Books of Doom. Books of Doom is an epic, tragic tale about Doom's origin, from his poverty-stricken days of his childhood to his time researching in America to going back to Latveria to fight his oppressor of years and become king. Reading that solidified Doctor Doom as one of my favorite characters in all of fiction. But then I started reading The Ultimates, which is an entirely new universe that was made where Reed Richards is the current Doctor Doom, and somehow both of these stories work perfectly. In fact, Ultimates issue 4, which is the origin of this universe's Doom, is probably the best single issue comic I've read in years, and that comic made me believe that this can work, especially since they're bringing back the team of the people who directed and co-wrote some of the best movies in the MCU. In fact, I really think they're gonna nail it here. Sorry, what's that? Michael Waldron is co-writing Doomsday? Alright, let's see. This article clearly states that McFeely is writing the movie and Waldron is helping. So does this mean that Waldron is just offering some notes, or are they co-writing? Whatever it is, it's clear the Multiverse of Madness, which is written by Waldron, doesn't have the best writing in the MCU. There are some reports that in 2020, before the pandemic, Waldron was given 3 weeks to rewrite a script that was given to him after Scott Derrickson, the director of the first Doctor Strange, left the project. Waldron said this was nearly impossible, so after the pandemic hit, he was able to rewrite the script from scratch. Yet when the movie started shooting, the climax was still up in the air. And Waldron was obviously forced to add all the Illuminati scenes in the movie, so I'm gonna give this guy the benefit of the doubt because he is the head writer of Loki Season 1, and that show was peak. And with McFeely by his side, the Russo brothers directing, and Marvel after their big course correction, knowing that if this movie fails, they are done for, I believe that he can do some good here. Now I know the Russo bros track record also isn't that great outside of the MCU, but I don't know what it is, but when they enter the MCU machine, it just clicks, and they have not missed once. So I really think that they're the best people suited to tell whatever story they're cooking in here. Speaking of that course correction, it's so refreshing to hear the president of Marvel Studios openly admit they bit off more than they could chew. It was clear that Marvel was mandated to have this many things released so Disney could promote their streaming service more, and I'm glad Feige actually says that they're not going to do that anymore. He even spoke about how because of all the content they were pushing, Thunderbolts suffered for it because of all the characters that were introduced throughout shows and movies that no one watched. Even though Thunderbolts was applauded by critics, it failed at the box office because of that. The next MCU release at the time of me recording this is the Fantastic Four, and the early reactions are glowing. They're saying it's not just good, but great, and that's what we all wanted. Not just for the Fantastic Four, because man do they deserve it after all these years, but for the MCU to get back into its groove. The next few MCU movies are Fantastic Four, Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars. That is a banger lineup after what we've been seeing for the past few years. Besides that, the director of Thunderbolts, Jake Schreier, is confirmed to be directing the new X-Men movie, and he's gonna kill it. And of course, Spider-Man Brand New Day, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who you can just tell loves Spider-Man and is about to cook a street-level Spider-Man story. Thank God. Like, side note, I legitimately think Brand New Day will be the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, which has already been set with a high bar by No Way Home. Feige said that Destin has comic covers on his wall that he's trying to recreate in the movie. We're finally gonna get an MCU Spider-Man movie that has the sauce visually. Thank you. But dude, seriously, figure out what you're doing with Blade. This is getting ridiculous. And Feige confirms that Secret Wars will be a reboot of some sorts, and I think this is perfect. You can do the obvious with putting mutants into the MCU, putting the Fantastic Four in there, but you can also remove the stuff that no one really likes, specifically the stuff that sets up things in projects nobody likes, such as the Moon Knight post-credit scene, the Multiverse of Madness post-credit scene, the Hercules post-credit scene in Love and Thunder, the Kang post-credit scene in Quantumania, though I'm sure those will be resolved in Doomsday, I hope, and the Harry Styles post-credit scene in Eternals. Seriously, dude, what were we doing with this one? Feige also said that he will be possibly recasting original Avengers, who I assume are going to be people like Iron Man and Captain America, which I do have thoughts about, but I'm going to save that for when Secret Wars comes out. I'm praying I love Fantastic Four, because to get Doomsday and Secret Wars right, you have to get these guys right, and it looks like they did. I'm seeing it opening day, and I pray it's peak, because if not, it's like playing Jenga with the one piece at the bottom and billions of dollars and fans' hearts at the top. But seriously, Doomsday has to not just be good, but be great. We all remember when the chairs were announced, one by one. Marvel had the world in a chokehold for hours just watching chairs. Feige said it's going to be the Avengers, Wakandans, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and the original X-Men fighting Doom. Please don't mess this up. Please, please, please. If you mess this up, you are done, Marvel. The premise sounds cool. You got the people interested. You know you have them interested. Just please don't mess this up. Bring us back to the glory days and then we start again fresh. I trust you, Russo brothers. Please don't let me down. Again.